This is Uncle Richie, Rich Fregosa, here with my good friend, Matt Scott, as we like to call him, Flat Matt. Actually, this is a special ResiWeek episode coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It is our InfoComm 2022 ResiWeek episode. Today I'm going to be talking with Ken Eagle from Hall Technologies and Heather Sidorowicz from Southtown Audio Video, so stay tuned.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 332, WTF to WFH.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Chief, the global leader in commercial AV mounting solutions.
This is ResiWeek. As you may notice, I'm not Matt Scott. This is Rich Fregosa, Uncle Richie, here for you. Actually, at InfoComm 2022 in person.
We are live.
We are absolutely live. This is a non-virtual version of ResiWeek. We're actually pretty excited here. I just got back from Barcelona at ISE, so I am getting the opportunity to visit beautiful and super hot Las Vegas right now. But I have two very cool people with me here right now. Here on my left, Heather Sidorowicz, who is the owner and president of Southtown Audio Video.
Hello, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here live, boiling in Vegas.
We've worked our way through. It is a massive space this year.
We are so excited.
And over here on my right, obviously representing the Raiders.
Win in Vegas, right?
Absolutely. Ken Eagle, from many, many places, but currently, congratulations, by the way, on the new gig.
Yes.
Ken, you are now with Hall Technologies as the VP of Technology.
Yes. We're on the show floor. 2203 is the booth. If you're in and around this week, come check it out. It's going to be awesome.
That's a great call out, actually. See, you beat me to it. So, obviously, this is ResiWeek. We are at the AVIXA show.
And for those who don't know, the AVIXA show is the commercial show in America.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. One of the things that has come up, and again, we were actually in Barcelona together. That was the first time that we had people back en masse. I know that Mike Blackman from ISE had reported that roughly about 43,000 participants had come through. And what was interesting in talking to the attendees and to the exhibitors and just everybody, and I'm actually going to ask both of you this, there was that trepidation about here we go, right? Before the doors open and going, oh boy, here we go again. Because ISE got delayed by 6 months. And we opened in June. And then the doors opened and it was that sigh of relief moment. It was like, okay, we're back. We felt we're not in normal, we're not in the new normal, but this weird normal in between. At ISE, what was your thoughts over there? And when now we're getting ready to open the show, actually the show floor is going to open tomorrow. So we're starting the day before the show opens. There's education going on. What were your feelings there and what are you hoping for from InfoComm right now?
Yeah, Barcelona was interesting because I had those same trepidations going in. We hadn't gotten together in 2 years. So everyone's excited to get back together, but COVID was still kind of on the fringe and there was some discussion about that. And so I thought this might not be the return we expected, but it really was. It was great. People were there, people were excited, people were shaking hands. They came to the booth, they were interacting. We were talking about projects and interacting and communicating. It was really exciting to see that. So fast forward now to InfoComm, I think you're going to see a lot of that here because we have not done that here in the US yet. That was in Europe.
Pent up,
right? And we've all got this, it's a way of life, but we get this fatigue from watching each other on video and trying to hear what you're saying through 1-inch speakers.
And a virtual conference just isn't quite, it's not the same.
So I'm really looking forward to the interaction and seeing people here and connecting with those faces that we haven't seen in a long time. And you mentioned it earlier, even with companies, even at Hall Technologies, some of us are getting together, employees of the same company, and seeing each other for the first time in person. So this is really cool.
Yeah, and that was a big part that we were experiencing talking to a lot of the exhibitors, which was there was this, it wasn't even necessarily a fear, but there was a trepidation of like, can we now operate as we're back to normal, because it had been so fragmented. And even right now, I mean, this is the first time that I've had people that I can refer next to each other rather than two screens in front of me and shooting back and forth.
You can reach out and touch someone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're holding hands.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted, Ken. You're muted, Ken. Heather, it seemed I haven't seen you in 2 years.
It is, which makes me sad that we haven't actually seen each other face to face. So to see a friend, to give a hug again, to reconnect, to ask about children, it's an amazing feeling. I had the opportunity a few months back to go to the KBIS show, the Kitchen and Bath show. That was still fully masked, but people did come out in droves. So that was about 70,000 people at that show. I will say I did end up getting COVID later on, which I lived to tell the tale. But it was amazing even to have people out there again. And this is even better to see people smile. I never thought that teeth would feel so intimate. But it is, and I'm thrilled to see so many more of those connections on the show floor. And again, to touch, to see, to experience actual new fun technology. It's been years since we've been able to show that off. And a webinar, a website, it just doesn't do it justice as going through the show floor and seeing it visually. It's stunning.
AV is an experience. It's hard to feel that through a Zoom or a Teams connection.
Well, and you're both bringing up good points, and I want to key in on kind of each of your perspectives on this. So I'm going to start with you first, Heather. So you had the opportunity, you just got here out of teaching a class. So the first time back in a classroom experience.
I'll actually be teaching a class in a few minutes.
Oh,
well,
in a few minutes.
after
You're
this,
yes.
so heading
Okay.
to the class.
But education's back.
Yeah.
What are your hopes in terms of being in the show? Because again, we've got the show floor. We're going to have everything that we were just talking about, which is being able to see, touch, hear, you know, all of those things.
Absolutely, and it's the same thing at CEDIA, right? So it is about connection, and it's about feeding off others. So there's one thing when I'm learning through a webinar or through a computer remotely, but it's a very different experience when you're sitting in the classroom and you get to not only hear what the professor, the teacher, the person is saying, but you can feed off the person next to you. Hey, did you see that? Hey, who are you? You never know. So I was saying earlier today that I met Rich at these shows and we connected, and then later on did business together, and I would not be where I am today if it weren't for he playing a piece of the story in my company. So that's a huge piece of that story. As for the classroom itself, there's over 100 people who are going to be in this class in an hour or so. That's incredible. That shows the need, the desire. The class that we're doing with Steve Greenblatt, another amazing show here. Co-host. Yes, about personality, different personalities, and that will be about working together and how to communicate better because we miss it. And there's obviously a need for that and a desire because they're going to be there.
A big part of the experience, again, this is ResiWeek, and so we know our channel that we're talking to, but ResiMercial is not going away. Hybrid, everybody knows, instead of WTF, we now all know WFH. Right, right. We've all learned, right, work from home.
We have a product with that in the name.
Absolutely, right. So it has absolutely entered. I'd spent years and years and years. I would always talk about convergence. I would always talk about sooner or later there's going to be the melding of, and for the longest time, there was commercial would filter its way down into residential applications, and you would see things that would be in commercial venues that they would figure out the scale, and then it would make it into the home. Take technology, and you take, the big three, and they reversed that course. All of a sudden, we're dealing with mobile, we're dealing with in-home or personal products that now are affecting the way that the workplace occurs. And one of the things that, we had talked a little bit before with the show, with hybrid, there's a term that I've heard it called digital equity or meeting equity. We are pretty much in agreement based on what we're seeing on the show floor, seeing products that are coming through, classes that are being taught. The hybrid environment is not going to be going away.
People won't allow it. Workers won't allow it.
Right. So this is an important residential discussion.
Absolutely.
What are you hoping to see? What do you see as, because you've made a transition, you started out primarily residential, you guys actually started out as a TV shop basically. And have moved now into having a very strong presence in the commercial market, but you still bridge both.
Correct.
You know, how are you seeing this need for, you know, the work from home movement and hybrid, and what you're looking to get out of the show? Because I think this is important for anybody who's going to be watching this show, if they are kind of ambivalent about making it down to Vegas and saying, oh, I don't need to go to a commercial show. Pretty much apparent that it's like, if you are in the AV industry, you should be attending these shows again. Why are you here?
That's an excellent question. So there's certainly the connection to people first, but also because you can't get the experience of what's new and what's changing. We have a very myopic view of what happens in our industry in our area and what other, maybe your local competition is doing. But it's very different to what, if I'm in New York, than what you're doing in Atlanta and what you're doing in California. So by coming to these shows, it's very, very eye-opening to see what can be possible. And it doesn't mean that you're gonna do that possible thing next year, but you might be doing it in 5 years. In October, when I went to InfoComm, there was an immersive conference room that was put together with short throw projectors. So your conference would be in all 4 walls, and you could just submerge someone in the environment. I don't think that that's going to happen next week or next year, but the concept, the ability to think outside the box, it may start in the conference room, but now you're starting to hear things about immersive gyms. How much more exciting is it to get on a treadmill and run in Rome versus run down the same street that you have walked down a million times? There is definitely the trickle down, and it's not even a trickle down, it's a trickle down, trickle up. I had this really great experience today, thanks to Katie McGregor, who brought me to a Savant house here in Vegas. It was commercial-like pieces through Savant. There were direct view LEDs that were huge and ginormous, but it was in a house that you live in. They have converged, and it's just really how you then use them for wherever your magic power is for your company.
I'm gonna alley-oop, and hopefully you're gonna slam dunk this for me. So from the attendee side, from the education, the exhibitor side. Again, you represent a manufacturer. Yep. You just talked about it. You're using WFH in your product names. Given that we are, dealing with a resi market, what we're catering to in terms of the vertical here in this show, but again, as an exhibitor, as a manufacturer, why are the reasons for residential dealers to attend InfoComm, to focus more on commercial? Because if you haven't focused on commercial, why aren't you? What are the compelling? I mean, like, it's basically the booth tour, but again, Hall Technologies. You guys have a great tagline that I had never heard before, right, which was that you guys operate as...
We had digital duct tape for a lot of years, right? You needed a converter or a widget. Hall Research is what we were called. We had a lot of digital duct tape pieces. And the world has changed. Those were great pieces that fit applications. Today we're looking for solutions, and you're seeing Hall Technologies evolve as a solutions provider. So while we still have the digital duct tape, we have all these awesome solutions too. And you mentioned the work from home, that plays right into it. I was on a panel, it's been probably a year and a half ago now as COVID got started. And one of the big topics were everybody's working from home now. How do we address them working from home? Well, companies were giving their employees, hundreds of employees, a laptop and saying, you now work from home, here's your work from home kit, it's a laptop. And what's your experience in a laptop? Open the lid, you got a tiny little lens, you got a little microphone right there, and now I got to communicate with everybody. And it's already challenging, but when you don't have great gear, it's even more challenging. So that's where the work from home kits come from. If you're a company and you're sending your employees to work from home, give them a laptop, but give them along with that a work from home kit, which is a speakerphone docking station with an auto framing 4K camera at a very convenient price that can be now used in the home. This is right up the resi market. Anybody who's residential, if you've got customers who are working from home, come to Hall Technologies booth, take a look at the product, offer the work from home kit to all of your clients. It is a great solution. It's a super value add. So that's one big reason why Resi should be here. Another big reason is because what you see on the show floor. Trends change, things start to shape, and one of the biggest underlying trends you'll see, it only takes a minute to walk the floor and go through a couple of booths. What you're going to see this year and years to come is software. It's huge. Yeah. VP of Technology at Hall Technologies, that's my role. My largest division of the company that's underneath me is software engineers. I have more software engineers developing products than I do anything else going on. So software is driving that.
Yeah, you're seeing that from a lot of them too. A lot of like very hardware-centric manufacturers.
Most definitely.
Because we can't get product,
Yep.
what they're saying now is, here, use our software
And
instead,
that's
and
gonna
that will
transition
definitely.
into the resi space just as equally as the commercial space. So come, this is a great opportunity to learn about that.
I've even said the same thing about Sonos. Sonos, I often talk about Sonos as really a software company, not a hardware company. They're a software company that makes some hardware.
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, you know, you talk about this immersive experience and this interactive. What makes your hardware interactive and gives you an immersive experience is the software that you build into it.
True.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. 3 things that you're hoping to see at InfoComm.
So as I mentioned, I think off this podcast is a term I heard back in October was meeting equity, which is the concept that whether you're at home or in the workplace, you'd have the same experience. I want to see the next iteration of that because really we had a technology cap. So when I do a conference room on the commercial side and there's one camera at the beginning of the room and it's capturing all of us, yes, that's what my eyes do see when we're all in the room together, but it's good, not great. So I'm looking forward to hopefully that piece of what's the next iteration, what's the next piece of that story is definitely one piece there. Man, can I say supply chain, or are we not allowed to say
Supply chain is great.
Supply chain is, I mean, honestly, it's completely changed. And I'm sure whether you're on the residential side or you're on the commercial side, that is your biggest pain point right now. And so solutions around that. So for some of us who have been hardcore with ABC company forever and we believe in them and we love them, if we can't get their product, this is the very first time that we will be looking to jump ship if somebody else can get that, whether it's software-based or hardware-based.
So it's going to be the year of the open relationships.
It very much will be, yeah.
You're no longer technologically monogamous, right?
And number 3, something else that wows me. Sometimes it's not a game-changing technology, but it's really something else that brings joy to your life, and whether that's work life or home life. A few years ago, there was a company called Mural, which eventually got bought, but it was just artwork that would just continue to change. That is still today in my dining room. It was my very first purchase ever made at InfoComm. But my kids learned about artwork and who the artist was, and you could just wave your hand in front of it. It would tell you the artist, where it was made, what year. Those are quality of life pieces that do transfer, because everyone that walks through my house says, "Where did you get it? I want it." That's not in my conference room. That's in my living room.
It's a conversation piece. That's cool.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've had a couple of seconds to think about it. But from the exhibitor side, obviously you've got technologies that you're going to be promoting, but you're a big part of the industry. I mean, you still love this industry, and obviously a lot of it's going to drive forward Hall Technology. I mean, as the VP of Technology, these are the things that you have to be looking for. Yeah. What are you looking for from an industry standpoint? Not only what you offer, but just in general, hopefully is going to be shown on the show floor this year.
One thing I think that's really big is I would like to hear from people who are coming in, integrators who are coming in. What are they seeing? I have an idea what they're seeing, and I know what they've been dealing with through the pandemic. But as we come post-pandemic, there's a lot of great ideas out there, and people are trying to reinvent some things. I'm anxious to hear what customers are asking about, what they're looking for, and where we're going to go with technology in the next step. So getting in front of the customers and hearing that, that's a big one. For Hall Technologies, for us personally, we've changed. The company was known as Hall Research for 35 years. We've rebranded. We're called Hall Technologies. We have a new focus on solution-based products rather than the digital duct tape piece only that I spoke about earlier. So not everybody knows that. So this is a good chance for us to get the word out and kind of express and show who we are a little bit and talk about that. And I'd say the third thing is just kind of reconnecting and hopefully finding out that we're over the barriers we've seen with COVID, and we've found a new way to do business and a new way to communicate, and we see that moving forward. It would really be a shame to go a month or 2 months or 3 months down the road coming out of this, and there's a little bit of a bump up in COVID, and people's pocketbooks tighten up and they get scared, and then before you know it, CEDIA is announcing a smaller show again or something. I want this to drive into CEDIA, and I want to see that be a big show. ISE was successful. I think this is going to be successful.
KBIS was successful.
I believe CEDIA can be really successful.
I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap things up here. So a big part of it is obviously what we've been excited about is that we're going to be we're going to finally be on the show floor again. We're going to be putting out content again. If you are undecided about being here at the show, you can still make it. It's here all week. Ken, you are actually exhibiting on the show floor. Your booth number is
2203.
2203.
Is it in North or West?
It's in West.
In
West Hall. It is
Thank you,
massive.
W2203.
Exactly. Heather, I know you're going to be teaching. So
I am going to be teaching a little bit. I will be walking the show floor. I'll be meeting with a bunch of current vendors and manufacturers, and I'll be on the lookout for some new ones.
If they can't make it to the show, how can they find out more information about Hall Technologies?
www.halltechav.com, and of course on all the social medias too. You find us a lot on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can always reach me on those too. Ken Eagle is my Twitter handle. Catch me on LinkedIn. I got a lot of cool stuff out there. Reach out. I'd love to talk to anybody.
Heather, long time standing. I know you are the social media maven. But if people do want to find out more about what you're doing here on the show floor, I know they're going to be able to follow you. Sure. But also about Southtown Audio Video.
Yeah, you can definitely follow me on LinkedIn, Heather Sidorowitz. I am company-wise is southtownav.com, and Twitter is tech_chi, as in a balance between life and technology. Yeah, that's actually a quick little story is my very first time that I came to one of these shows by myself. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't know who anybody was. And when I introduced myself to Tim Albright, I said like, "Hi, I'm Heather." He's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Techchi" on Twitter. He's like, "Hi," and he gave me the greatest big hug. So social it's a place to connect.
Well, I'm filling big shoes, actually, for this show, as Tim is unavailable this week, unfortunately, so Uncle Richie is going to be spearheading a lot of the interviews
Great job today.
Yeah, I know. Good job.
Appreciate it. We're sorry that Matt couldn't make it, but we do have a lot that's going on. We actually have 2 crews who are going to be providing in-studio and on-the-floor interviews here at InfoComm 2022. Obviously, if you want to find out more about InfoComm this year's convention, you can find it on the Avixis site. You can also find us here on AVNation.tv and all of our associated shows dealing with all the vertical markets. Additionally, we're going to have a State of Control with my partner, Steve Greenblatt, who you're teaching with. Right. We'll be recording from the show floor as well. And you're also going to see AV Week at this point a little bit later. So that's all the time that we have right now. This is Rich Fregosa for AVNation.tv.